Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello, Ruby. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Business Besties Chatting
Yes.
with Ruby and Kuhla.
Do 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 do
We
do.
need a theme tune, Rubes. If you can write one for next week.
All right, a little jingle.
A little jingle, a little, yeah, we'll sing it for the
Right,
good people of YouTube land.
I've got a keyboard somewhere as well. I could play that badly.
Right, well, that'd be brilliant. I'll get a tambourine out, triangle, something.
Too good. So, for people that don't know, I'm Ruby, and my business is Dotty Delightful. I'm a zine maker and an artist, and I sell on Etsy and I have a Patreon.
Excellent. I'm Kuhla. I'm an artist and spiritual intuitive, and I have my website, handmadedorset.co.uk, and I sell on Etsy as well a little bit. Yeah. So we make products to hopefully make your life better by raising vibes and generally being good peeps in the world. Hey, Rubes.
Yeah, that's what we want, don't we?
Yeah.
So today we're going to do it a little bit different. If you've joined us before, which is amazing because we always like that, today we thought we'd do a little bit of a theme, and the theme is all about starting your own small business, which both of us have done. So I asked over the social media, I asked over social media.
I like old proper grannies.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the Facebook.
Oh yeah, on the Facebook. Questions that you might have if you wanted to start a small business. So we have those. But first of all, let's talk about how we started our small businesses. So do you want to go first, Koo? How did you start? Why did you start your business? And how?
So I started my small business 1988, whatever year, however long ago that was, mainly because I was pregnant with my first daughter. Looking back now, I realised that I couldn't tolerate being in the workplace doing a normal 9 to 5 job. But at the time, that wasn't my reasoning. My reasoning was because I wanted to be at home with my children because my mum worked when I was a child and I wasn't a fan as a child at home of my mum working. So um, I wanted that not to be the reality for my kids, you know. So I just decided then, and I was already making stuff and selling at little crafty things because I've always been creative and arty, that kind of stuff, you know. So at the time I was working in pediatrics. I'm a nursery nurse, and I work mainly in theatre prep, so prepping kids through play around having their operations and surgeries and things like that, and preparing them for theatre, and also teaching kids that were in hospital long term for schools and stuff. So I was already, even in my workplace, doing lots of creative things. So my mum has always been creative. My grandparents always creative. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was a child. Most weekends I would visit them and just stay over and stuff. And there was always, so blessed to say there was always creative stuff about. There was always paper and pencils, which is an absolute luxury. And weirdly, and now thinking about the neurodiverse stuff that I'm aware of, on their coffee table was a wooden box with scissors in, so many pairs of scissors. It's in, and the sort of amount of scissors that I collect, but normal people don't collect, you can never have 13 pairs of scissors in a box because that was unlucky. But it was just like there was always opportunities to be creative. So it made sense to kind of just make it bigger and make it more, when I had a child at home. And so it just kind of sprung board from there, really. And then over the years, it went on so that myself and my then husband were kind of in partnership with my parents. We'd go and do craft shows around the country and take turns in looking after the kids as I had my 4 kids and as they were growing. And we'd go and have a stand for sort of 4 or 5 days, wherever it was. And the other couple would look after the children, and we'd do vice versa like that. So it's been a long time ago in Bethlehem. But also, obviously, we didn't have the internet the whole time.
No.
It wasn't anything like that. So you just go off, like we said last week, you just go off and do your show, and then you come back. So it's changed very much. And over the years, I've had shops like you, and stuff like that. So it's morphed and changed as technology and science and culture has changed. But that's my kind of start story. And I have had some other jobs, like I was an activities coordinator in an old people's place for a while, and I ran a nursery school for a while. Um, I think that's it. Done any more out of, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then TJ had her own business doing plants for companies, like in foyers and stuff. So I would go and help her with that sometimes. But other than that, yeah, it's just been craft shows and craft fairs, and now obviously online all the way. So
And
what about you, Rubes?
well, just before, oh, I've got a hair. Why do you always?
Oh, we're supposed to be making stuff, aren't we? Yes. Oh, we haven't even talked about that yet, Rubes.
Oh, I know. I'm just. There's always a dog hair or something randomly in your watercolor. It's annoying.
Nah.
um. Oh yeah. So what? Oh yeah. Let's get to that, and then I'll jump back to your making. Today I am just doing backgrounds, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide them up into maybe like just a bit bigger than a playing card
What,
section.
ATCs?
The what, love?
Like an ATC?
What's an ATC?
No way, Rubes.
Oh,
An artist trading card?
I've never heard of them. What are them?
Well, I suppose you were, where this is where the 10 years difference in our age comes in, sort of thing, where, so it was much bigger in the, say, 90s and maybe 2000s. So, you know how you do your post crossing, sending postcards across, you do an artist trading card. So it's the size of a playing card kind of thing. And you'd swap them with other people. So they'd be like whole clubs where it'd be a theme, and then you swap them all around the world. You were never allowed to sell them. That was one of the things, even though some of them were exquisite work of arts. And they'd be on a theme of a topic, say, I don't know, spring, or on a colour, or on a technique or something like that. And then you trade them. And sometimes they turned into bigger postcards, but most of the time they were literally these little artist trading cards. And you can get all the wallets, like Pokemon wallets,
Yeah.
put the Pokemon cards and that in, like that. But people have them full of artist trading cards. I've got mine downstairs.
Oh, I
Yeah,
never
so when we had
knew.
one of our craft shops in Weymouth, what year was that? About 2005 to 2000. I don't know, maybe 2000 to 2000. I can't remember anyway. Yeah, we ran quite a big artist trading cards, like a swap post, like a post where you could swap your trading cards.
I wonder if it's still going on now, or if it.
Oh, I'm sure you can buy them on Etsy. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to, but you can. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, no, I've never heard of them.
That's unusual, isn't it? Because normally we have our fingers in the exact same pies, don't we?
Yeah. Pie.
I do miss a pie.
Yeah, I bet you do. Oh god, I love pie. Pie don't love me though. I often think, oh, a pie, and then I eat a pie, and I'm like, oh, my belly hurts.
Yeah, they're a bit stodgy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Right, so where were you?
Pies. Yeah. So, well, yeah. No, I'm not making them. But after our video chat, I'll be on Pinterest down a right rabbit hole for the rest of the day, won't I?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you'll love it.
Oh my god,
You would have. I bet you'd have joined and signed up to 3 clubs by the time the day's over. That's what you do.
probably. No, so what I'm doing is I'm doing yeah, a little card. Well, it's not card because it's like paper, but and I'm gonna do the backgrounds, and then I'm gonna write things on them, like little love notes, little artist.
Oh,
That's what I'm gonna do.
what? Just for fun?
Just for fun, but then I always give something free. You know, when somebody orders something off me, I
Yeah,
give something free, a bookmark or a postcard or something in their order. So I might chop them up and put them in people's orders, which would be quite sweet, won't it?
that'd be nice.
So yeah. So what are you doing?
We're making a mess at the minute.
Is that a pasta maker? What are you doing with that?
I'm going to have to turn the volume up on my computer again because you sound really quiet to me. You might not be to everybody else. Right, so let me just turn you up while I think of it. Excuse my everythings, everybody.
I think it's because I've got this new microphone that I borrowed.
But I bet it's really clear.
I
It
don't
is good.
know.
And I think our images are a bit clearer. We've gone to HD, haven't we?
Yeah, we changed the settings. We're improving, see, every week.
We're getting there. We're learning stuff. So I went to put on some earrings for today. It has to be said, I've been feeling really rough this week. I've had a rough week. and
bless.
I'm very tired and all those sorts of things. And I thought, you know what? Because I nearly didn't do it, did I, Rubes? Because I was feeling a bit rubbish. But it's sometimes it makes you feel better when you actually get off and do the thing. So, and we did, you know, we didn't want to let anybody down. We wanted to keep the continuity and show up for ourselves, etc. So here we are. But and I thought, oh, if I put some earrings on, I'll feel even more, you know, sparkly.
Yay.
But all the earrings that I've made so far, they're quite big, which I love when you're out and about and stuff. But when you're just sitting here, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I thought I'm gonna make with my Fimo some kind of blanks to then create earrings. They're still going to be danglies, but you know, I'm going to make the blanks for them today. And then so I'm putting the Fimo in this pasta machine. Bit of tech. Because it conditions the Fimo, because I don't know if anybody else finds this, but kind of kneading it and kneading it really hurts my hands.
Ah. So you've
So
got to
you
put
can,
it through a few times, have you?
yeah. But what's also really nice about using the pasta machine for like Fimo is supposing I had, like, I've got white, but I had grey here, and you put them in as a block, and it does a really nice blend. Like what's it called? You know, when you have, is it balayage in your hair? Oh, that's not the right word. You know, when it blends from one colour to the next
Oh,
colour.
yeah.
What's that called,
Like
Robes?
gradient.
Radiant. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so that's really good then. So it's a top tip. Your Kuhla's top tip for the.
Right. Now I'm just wondering. I think these are a little. This is coming out a little bit thin. So I'm changing the setting on the pasta machine so it's a little bit bigger, because obviously pasta, you only want it thin, don't you? You don't want it chunky. But it does mean that this is a little bit thin for here. Oh, that'll be all right. So the last setting, number 7, is the right one.
Is it just an ordinary pasta machine then?
Yeah. And you normally have another little bit that sits on the top. Obviously, I don't need that bit. And it's the first time I've used it. I got it off Marketplace. I used to have one, but I used it for salt dough. You know, like you know, the bread dough you can dry in the oven and then use it for decorations and stuff. Um, and over time, it just went a bit rusty because of the salt. And because the place I had, the old studio I had, was more like a shed than my office at the minute, and so it just didn't. It wasn't watertight. Do you know what I mean? So there's no, I couldn't have put Fimo in that because it would just got filthy. I mean, as it is, even though that machine was clean, my work surface was clean. I washed my hands before I sat down. There's still marks on my clay, which is a bit of a bummeroo. But I got this set off of
Oh, that's cool.
Amazon, actually. Just with some different shaped cutters. So I'm going to have a play.
Yay. Can you sand it afterwards when it's dry to make it?
Okay, so what I'll have to bake this in a minute. I mean, if I'd have been prepared and done the old blue pizza, what I made earlier, I'd have already got some prepared and in the oven ready to then paint on. But it won't take long. I'll cut these shapes out, put them on my baking tray, and then I'll quickly run downstairs, pop them in the oven, and they'll still be out and ready for me to paint before our chat's finished.
Oh, that's really quick.
And while they're cooking, I can be making some more, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's super quick. So you're gonna do your earring blanks, are you? That's what you're doing today.
Yeah, just gonna make some blanks to create some small earrings, like some little cuties.
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be
That's
really.
my theory. Right, so tell us about your biz now.
Okay. Well, before I've got a question. You said you told us about yours. What was the first product or thing to sell? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Well, I made greetings cards. Always. I've always made greetings cards. So stationery has always been my love. I did actually work for a stationery company for a while as a freelance illustrator, whatever. That is another job I did that I forgot to mention. I've always loved paper and stationery, and the idea of, see, I'm getting all thingy about my cards now because I stopped doing greetings cards, didn't I? But what they mean, what a letter or a note means, or it's just a really lovely way of expressing, Anyway, so I've always done those, but I made, funnily enough, Fimo mice. These little mice that are Fimo, little tiny, tiny things they were. And I remember the first ones I sold because I'd left them in the oven too long and they got burnt. They all got burnt. But you know what us ladies are like? Well, it's probably a bit sexist, but these old ladies that came round to this little craft, we had it around my mum's house actually, like an open evening. My mum still has that every year at
Shit.
Christmas open evening, yeah, where she just lays out all the things she makes. You know, after she's done a lot, she does lots of things for charity. You know, like little craft things for different WI stuff and that. Um, hello, mum, if you're watching. I shouldn't think she will be, but anyway. Um, and these old ladies, they thought they were really cute because they were burnt. So they bought them anyway, which is really sweet. They were cheap as chips, but and
Uh,
then yeah, we used to do lots of little local shows. I got my girls into making jewellery for shows and things, you know. But so it was greetings cards and Fimo things, believe it or not, in
isn't that funny?
1988.
You've
Funny, ain't it?
gone back to the female thing.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, and I love that. So my first thing I ever made was this is when the kids were little. I used to take them to play groups, and I'd always get confused of what play groups on when and stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so I decided on my typewriter I'd make a little booklet, and I used to not hand with my hand on my typewriter, but on a
yeah.
typewriter. And it was for the month ahead. Anybody that wanted to sell anything, so prams for sale had been it. What the play groups were, anything.
Anyway, so you were making a zine then.
Yeah, and I used to sell them for 50p.
It's funny now. My mice were 10 pence each.
Yes. Oh my god.
Funny, ain't it?
So that's
Oh,
when.
that's really good though, Robes.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And then I
Yeah.
didn't do anything like commercial till years later. And then the first things that I sold was toys. So I'll tell you my story now. How I started.
Oh,
Here we go. What can we do? So I was a single mum to the three boys, and
yeah.
it was income support back then when you had kids under 5. So that's like
And you're a single parent.
single parent, yeah. It was a benefit you got. But when one of them turned 5, they expected you to go and get a job. But because I was a single parent and didn't have really family support or anything like that, my mum would help every now and again, but she was older, you know.
But I'm not being funny as well. Your boys were a handful.
Oh
Because
yeah,
at the time you didn't even know they were all neurodiverse.
no, only 2, not all of them. Adam isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, two out of 3.
But it's a lot to cope with.
Yeah, it is. And she just thought they were naughty,
Yeah.
but they were just bonkers. Bless them. So, oh yeah, so I got a letter from income support, and it said that you had to go and get a job, and I went for an interview at the job centre, and it was back when, I don't know if you remember this, they had cards. So the job centre had all like little mini shelves, and they were cards, and they were typed out what the jobs were on the card,
Yes.
and you took the
Yes.
card to the
Yeah.
person. That's like how long ago it was. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Everything will be online, I'm guessing now, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was back then, and there was a job at the biscuit factory at the bottom of our street.
Oh no.
But when I went, it was overnight, and I couldn't leave the kids. And I said, I've got no, I can't leave the kids. And the man said, "We'll get your mum to come and every night and look after the kids." And I was like, "What?" Anyway, so I worked it out that if I worked 40 hours a week, overnight, night shifts, I'd end up, after paying for everything, I'd end up with £12. And I was like, this is rubbish.
And who would look after the boys in the daytime then?
Exactly. It's
Because you'd
mad.
have to sleep.
Yeah, isn't it mad? So
Can
then
I just say, Thatcher's Britain.
oh no.
Sorry for anybody out there who's a fan.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Ugh.
So I found out that you could become self-employed, and if you became self-employed, you could get tax credits. So you'd not only keep your self-employed money, but you'd get extra money, you know, if you didn't go out of a certain amount of money, of course, to
Right.
pay your rent and stuff like that. And I was like, this is brilliant. I'm going to be self-employed. I did not have one clue what that meant, apart from that you worked for yourself. I didn't have a clue about anything about business, nothing, nothing at all. But I started making toys for my children because I didn't have any money to buy them Christmas presents. Started making these for,
When you say toy, do you mean like fabric things?
yeah, like stuffed
Oh,
ones.
bugger.
You know, like oh, I wish I could have brought some down. Chris has still got some that I'd made. They were like characters out of books that we'd read. So there was one called Splurge, and he lived underground, and humans kept throwing rubbish down, and it landed on him in his world underground, and he wanted to do something. And the book described what he looked like, this monster that lived underground. So I made it into a toy, and he's still got that now. He's 25 and he's still got it. Um, and I loved it, and everything
Oh,
was hand sewn. So it was all hand sewn. It was all second-hand fabric that I'd get from the charity shop,
yeah,
that's what I started. And then my friend said, "Oh, can you make me some for my kids?" And then another friend said, "Oh, can you make me some for my kids?"
yeah.
Back then, I didn't know that you're meant to get them tested or anything like that.
But yeah, but back then, did you have to?
Probably, I'm guessing. I'm
Mm.
not sure. Probably, if you were selling them commercially. So I did that. I did loads of knitting. I made tea cozies. That's the first thing I ever sold on Etsy, a tea cozy. It was
Did
brand,
you?
yeah, and it was. Oh, hang on, someone's at the door.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this because you had to turn your thing off, but then another kind of business model for me was my dad did car boot sales. We used to go to the car boot the weekend. I didn't go out with him every weekend, but lots of weekends I did. And go into the car boot. And then the money that he made at the car boots, we would then go on holiday with. So it was like, it felt a little bit like free money. Probably didn't feel like that to my dad. But because money was done all through the bank, I never saw it as a child or a young adult. When you come back from the car boot, there'd be a pile of cash on the table. And I'd never seen cash like that. Do you know what I mean? You'd count it out. It's very exciting. And so I started doing car boots with him. So over the time, TJ and I have done different car booty things and or sold stuff at auctions and that sort of stuff. And you know, on a Sunday evening at what do you call it? Uh, what's it? Antiques Roadshow. I'm always like, oh, blah blah. That's worth this much, and that's a so and so because I'm, you know, right into all of that. Everything all right, Butte? Oh, you haven't turned your sound back on, I don't think. Can't hear you chatting. Oh, it's upside down now. Is it? Or was it that up the way that you had it before? Can't
Um,
hear you, baby. Oh,
Sorry.
that's it, that's it.
When
Baby,
I
oh my
jumped
God.
up to answer the door because I was trying to stop the dog from
Yeah.
barking, I've knocked my phone now, and I can't seem to get it back the
Oh,
right
it's up the other way.
side down. What's going
That's
on?
it. Oh, oh,
Yeah.
and now it's in the thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we were doing so well, Butts.
Right, hang on, hang on.
That's all right.
I didn't know Chris had ordered something, and the
But
postman.
that we can't. That's all right. It's just what we've said, and it's part of the reason showing up today, even feeling a little bit rough, is that we're just going to keep showing up because I think what happens, like you know, we'll probably touch on later about social media or whatever. Although we're determined not to go on too long today, but is because I do need to go back to bed. Is and that's something I'm a bit worried about, aren't I, Rubes? Because tomorrow I've got my PIP assessment, and I'm worried that they'll see me on social media and think you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you because I can come here and be all jolly and mask for like an hour and a half, and then I go and I crash for the rest of the week, sort of thing. But that, you know, I don't know anyway how that'll go. But yeah, we're just going to keep showing up, aren't we? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's looking really nice, Ruby. And I tell you what, it is clearer because sometimes I can't see that so clear unless I go right up close.
Oh, that's good then that we've
Yeah.
changed on it.
Well,
Yeah.
because we're a bit worried as well because it's so dull outside.
Oh, it's
Like
pouring
this
down.
is all a bit grey. I'm a little bit bleh, but that's because the I'm not getting any light. I'm sitting right in the window, but you wouldn't know it, would you really?
Not at all. And I'm only this bright because I've got that overhead
You got the daylight, yeah.
thing on it. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought it
That's
was
all right. So where were you?
selling toys. So the first thing I
Oh,
sold
yeah.
on Etsy was a bright pink tea cozy, and I'd made it out of an eider-down quilt, and I'd embroidered the words tea on it and a teacup.
Perfect.
And when it sold, I was like, "Oh my god, it sold!"
How
So
did you know to go on Etsy?
I don't even remember. I think somebody told me
Yeah.
about. I think
So when was that?
2012. So
It was the same year I went on Etsy.
is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's well funny.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, that is weird. So before that, I started doing craft fairs, and the first fair that I ever did was in December. It was for Christmas, and it was at a church hall in the middle of town, and it had snowed overnight, so all the buses were cancelled. So me and Tom carried everything in suitcases through the snow. It was up to our
Because you had no car.
no, back then we didn't have anything. Up to our knees, trailing through snow all the way towards town. And it was about half an hour walk from our house.
Did he think you're mad? You're crazy.
Crazy. And then when I was there, so on that stall I had they were elves made of felt, like with big long dangly woolen legs that I'd knitted. Hats, winter hats, fabric brooches, everything was fabric. Cushions, Russian doll cushions, all stuff like that. And I sat there in this church hall and I did not have a clue what was going to happen. I just knew I needed to make it look pretty because at that time I used to do things like I'd collect images out of magazines and stick them in a scrapbook and be like, oh, when I've made it, I want to be like Kath Kidston. That's who it was at the time. I was like, I want to be like her.
Yeah.
And I took £100 that day, and it's the most money that I'd ever held in my hands in one go. That was, not from a benefit. It was like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, and that's what kick-started the thing. And then after that, I did a couple more fairs. But what I realised was, people that ran the fairs were not makers; they were just organisers, and they
Yeah.
didn't realise what people that ran fairs actually needed. So I kept observing and making mental notes.
You mean what people who did fairs needed?
Yeah,
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 yeah. Sorry, yeah.
yeah. The stall holders, what they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kept making mental notes of things that were missing. Things like some wouldn't have any music in. So if there was one customer,
Oh,
it'd be dead and it'd feel awful.
yeah.
Stuff like that. So then after that, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to put on my own fairs. I could do it better.
Yeah.
And so I started at a church hall, and we got a printer by this point. It was Tom's printer, he'd had it for years. And we had a computer by that point, one that everybody shared in the room, like in the living room.
Yeah.
And I made these really naff posters. I've got one somewhere, I kept it. Every time I've done something, I've kept
I know. I've kept things like that. They're funny to look at now, aren't they?
really funny because at the time I was so pleased with it. And it
Yeah.
had been like some clip art that I'd have got from somewhere,
Yeah.
like Canva didn't exist or anything like that, did it?
Yeah.
So funny. So and we went. Me, Tom, and the boys went door to door the weekend before the fair, posting all these things out because we didn't share it. There was no social media or anything.
Yeah.
And I had 12 stall holders, and Tom and I stayed up all night baking cake. And I mean, that's a joke in itself because we had chickens, we had dogs, and we were baking them in this tiny little kitchen. Like, it just wouldn't have passed health and safety or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and over the years, because I'm an order, I'd collected loads of vintage teacups and cake stands and stuff. So I did a
Yeah.
room at the fair, 12 stall holders, and it was brilliant. So many people came to visit. It was so good, and everybody kept saying, the stall holders, oh, you're going to do another, you're going to do another. So I did a couple more, and then too many people were asking for stalls and there wasn't enough space. So as a joke, I said, oh, I'm going to hire the Winter Gardens, which is this huge building right in the middle of town. It's like a, people like,
You've arrived, sort of thing.
what's that, love?
It's you've arrived. If you're going in there, you've
Oh,
arrived.
it was mental. Massive names have played there, big bands, and like over the years, they have big concerts on and everything.
Yeah.
And the church hall was £40 to hire for the day, and I'd pay it out of the takings that we got from selling cake. And we went round the Winter Gardens, and he showed us all these different rooms. And there's this room, it's called the Horseshoe Pavilion, and in it, it's like a horseshoe shape. So it's
Yeah.
got an outside wall that's a horseshoe shape, and then an inside wall that's a horseshoe shape. But all that wall opens up its all doors. And
Oh,
then
okay.
there's an old theatre. George Formby used to play on that theatre. Um,
Yeah. I've
and
heard of it before, I'm sure, even though I'm not from obviously up there.
um, so he opened the doors, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I'm going to hire, this whole room. It's massive.
Yeah.
So I said, how much is it? Bearing in mind, we didn't have a bean, like, not a bean. And he said it was £3,600. And my very good masking face was like, oh, that's really reasonable. And in my head, I'm thinking, what? I was so determined. And he said, I think he kind of knew. I didn't have a clue. And he said, or I can give it you for free, and I want 70% of the stall holders' fees. Now I thought, right, this guy knows what he's doing. He runs this big business. If he thinks that he can get that, then it's worth going for. Like, I'm onto something here. And I said, no, it's completely fine. I'll just pay the fee. Didn't have a clue. So what I did was I'd put it out there. I'd got in touch with all the people that had stalls before, and then they knew people, and I'd go to events and stuff like that. Put it out there. I was putting this thing on, and every time a stall holder would book on and pay their money, I'd pay that to the Winter Gardens.
So how many stall holders did you house there?
In the end, I had 120 stall holders, a full vintage tea room with we got sofas and all sorts of stuff. And then on the stage, I had live entertainment every weekend. So people had come, and they'd play if they wanted to just play for free. But if they wanted a fee, I'd pay them, because I was always wanted to be fair.
Yeah.
I hired some staff to work in the tea room. And yeah, I did that 3 times a year for 4 years. It was crazy, absolutely crazy.
I don't know how you did it, Rose.
Now I don't know how I did it either. It was mental.
Sorry about that loud noise.
Oh, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, it exhausted me.
Because as well, and this is the crux really of the whole shebang today, the whole talk today, even though we haven't even started on helping other people about their businesses really, but is that we are makers, not business people. We are not admin business people. We are creatives, and we have very different brains to people who can actually make businesses work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's massive, that, isn't it? Because from the outside, it looks like, oh my God, you did that, and it was really successful, and this, that, and the other. And it was in some ways, but it
Yeah.
was so hard to keep up with everything. I remember the first morning. So the Horseshoe Pavilion was right at the end of the big corridor to where the main doors open onto the street. And the man had come to me and he said, everybody's outside, all the stall holders, are you ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready. And he opened them doors, and I saw hundreds of people walking towards me, and I felt sick. I
Yeah.
started to shake, and I thought,
Oh.
oh my God, what have I done? And I had a list of names of these stall holders, and they were coming and going, where's my stall? Where's this one? And I was like, oh my gosh. I went and hid in the toilet because I thought I was going to be sick.
Hyperventilate or something, yeah.
I was so like, oh, it was just awful. And then I learned bit by bit, right, hang on a minute, if I send an email out to all these stall holders in advance with everything on it, they don't
Yeah.
have to come and ask me questions. You know,
Yeah.
if I put the names on the tables, they don't have to come and get me. If I made a
Yeah.
map, I printed out a massive map, they could see where they, you know. So I think that's really important to say, actually, Q, what you were saying. We're creatives and makers, and everything that we've, well, I speak for myself, I'm not going to speak for you, but you can tell me. Everything I've done is been on a wing and a prayer, and I've
Yeah.
learned as I've gone.
Yeah.
And it's,
And yeah, and going back to actually what we said before, like last week or whatever, you've never got to feel that you've got to have it all together or have all the answers before you do anything, whether that's cooking an apple pie or having like, hosting a venue event for 120 people. It's, you know, you haven't got to have it all together to show up.
no,
Or like us doing this, we don't know what we're doing. Well, you saw what happened with you just now, trying to wangle it out. We're learning, aren't we? Or
yeah,
it's like on your video at the bottom, isn't it? It's so frustrating, but we don't know how to fix it. Like the bars.
yeah, yeah,
We
I've
don't
got
know what that
20
is.
bars. How do I get them off? I can't get them off.
But do you know what as well, Rubes? Have you looked it up in between our weeks? Because I keep forgetting.
No, I keep forgetting.
Have you looked it up? Maybe one of our kind peeps will put a comment in and tell us how to do it.
No, because every time it's on, I go, oh, how do I get rid of them black bars? And
And
then
then completely forget it till the next time.
totally. Um, yeah, so it's interesting. Isn't it? It's been a journey. It's been a massive journey. I stopped doing the fairs because it was too much. It was knackering me, and my mum ended up dying. So on a Monday, I couldn't. I couldn't even talk. Tom used to just look after me like I was a complete invalid on a Monday because I.
Well, you'd go non-verbal
Yeah, I
and
never
overwhelmed.
even realised that though. I didn't.
Because as well, you go, oh, everyone feels nervous. You would have been getting nervous before it, like you get nervous before any event, even now. And you would go, well, anybody would feel that. But obviously, you were feeling it bigger than some regular people might.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah, it does. It does now because before I didn't have a clue. It wasn't until I met you that you kept saying to me, "I'm
You're a
sure,
nutter, mate. You're a nutter like me.
I'm sure there's something." And I go, "No, I'm not cooler. No, I'm not." But then, well, yeah, I am.
I don't know, but just being kind to yourself, isn't it? Right, look, I'm going to run these down. So let me just tell you a little bit about FEMA for people that aren't so familiar with it, whatever. So obviously it wasn't my intention necessarily to make little earrings, but I want some, so I'm going to make some, and then if there's any left over that I'm happy to sell, I'll also sell them. So once this is baked, it behaves quite like a plastic, so you can sand it. I've got like a little Dremel handheld drill with a little spinny sandy thing, so I'll be able to sand some of these edges. Because the good thing about the metal molds is that they have really sharp edges, so you get a really nice clean cut, which is brilliant, because a lot of the plastic or 3D printed molds, even though they've got some nice shapes and stuff, they're just not clean edges. They're really kind of clumpy, so you don't have a nice clean edge to your thing. But the bummer is, because they're metal, they're joined by an overlap, which you can see in all of your cut shapes. So I will need to sand them after with my little Dremel machine to make that nice and smooth. But like, see, I've cut holes in all of these because I can, because this little cutter, I'm loving it. Because if you did it like with a cocktail stick, all you'll be doing is pushing the clay outwards and it would distort the shape. You're just displacing the clay, whereas I've actually removed the clay, so it makes a nice clean hole. But you could, if you wanted to, if I didn't have those shapes, I would leave them, and then you can drill the hole afterwards, because you can drill in Fimo and anything. It's like plastic, but it's not brittle, so it's like wood in some ways, but it's stronger than wood. Anyway, I'm just going to go and run these downstairs, put them in the oven. Are you happy to chat for a minute?
Yeah, I'll just carry on. Don't forget, you need to put a timer on for him.
Let me just check. Let me just check what it says. Just got to find the instructions. So 1:30. I don't know what my oven is. I couldn't tell you what numbers I need for it. Because I don't do any cooking. Right, so do not exceed a hardening time of 30 minutes. I don't think I'm going to need anywhere near 30 minutes. I'm thinking maybe 12 minutes because they're really thin and small. Because you can obviously sculpt whole big things with it, like huge things. If you could afford it, because this is quite, this is about 20 quid.
Yeah, they're expensive, aren't they, compared to like the clay and stuff?
Yeah. So I'm going to go. So 130 or 265, whatever my oven is, I'll find out when I get downstairs. And then I'm going to go for 15 minutes. So can you kind of.
Yeah, I'll just carry on with my story. So on Mondays after the fair, yeah, I couldn't do anything. And Tom used to just look after me and stuff. Anyway, one particular Monday, I got a phone call from the hospital, and they said, your mum's been taken to hospital. And I was like, oh, is it serious? And they said they didn't think it was that serious. And I said, well, I'm really exhausted. Can I come at visiting, or should I come earlier? And they were like, no, visiting's fine. Go at visiting. Anyway, later on in the day, I got a phone call off her boyfriend, and he said, your mum's got worse. I think you should come in. Me and her boyfriend didn't get on at all. He was not very nice. And I said, well, how bad is it? Because the medical staff have said it's not that bad. Well, I think it's bad. So I said, can I speak to a nurse? So a nurse came on, and I said, do I need to come now, or can I come and visiting? And she said, no, come and visiting. Your mum will be fine. Anyway, then about an hour later, I get a phone call that she died. So I did think that if I was so exhausted that I couldn't even get to the hospital to see her, then that's not a good thing for me to carry on with. And I had thought before that happened, I'd been training a lady for a year to take over the fairs, which didn't work out very well. So I had the thought before that this was exhausting me, and and taking its toll really. And it's not as simple as organising a fair, and then it's done. It was a 3 months plan for each one,
Yeah.
working every day. It's not just, you don't just
It's
rock up.
keeping on top of all those people. And the thing is as well, crafters, they're a bit like trying to herd cats.
Yeah.
Because, we're all creators. We're all a bit, no, I mean, we're not all a bit ditzy, but if you're waiting for them to get back to you with payments or requirements or your public liability insurance or that sort of thing, chances are they won't. Not first time anyway. You have to ask them again. And it's keeping on top of all of that is really hard, isn't it?
It was loads of admin,
That's
loads.
what I mean, all that admin.
And it took me away from my own practice and
Creativity, this is the thing, yeah.
I think I found that with a lot of different things that I've done. Like I got a job in a hotel once. Oh my god, it was worse than Faulty Towers.
Was it?
Oh, terrible. Basically, all you was doing all the time was troubleshooting problems. There were certain rooms in the hotel that you couldn't put guests in because the roof leaked if it was raining.
Oh,
So
God.
if you booked them in when it was dry, you were all right. But if the rain came, you'd have to move them. The lift was broken. You weren't meant to put anybody in the lift. But when coach loads of old people had come, they'd just go, oh, open the lift, it'll be all right. I mean, it was really bad, really bad. And me as a person that's like proper tenacious about sorting things out, oh, it drove me bonkers. It
I'm
really did.
sure.
But I got that job because I thought it'd top up our money and give me time to paint instead. It didn't, because by the time I got home, I was so exhausted, I didn't even paint,
Yeah, I can imagine that.
you
Um,
know. And I've tried a few things like that, and it just doesn't suit me at all. Um, so should we start answering some questions, love?
yeah, let's look at these questions before the time gets on. So hang on a minute, I just need to check the time.
It's 1:10, and we started. Oh, are you putting your timer on? Have you done that?
I don't have a timer.
Oh, right, okay. It's 1:10. So at 25 past is it you need to get them out.
Yeah.
So our first question is, how do I even start turning my hobby into a business? Well,
I'm going to say what I'm doing now So these are pre-cut acrylic pieces that I had made for me. I just drew the shapes I wanted and they did them for me. These were 65p a piece from somewhere or other, I can't remember. But so if anybody wants the details, then give me a shout. But I'm just going to paint the tops with some alcohol inks to create some other earrings. So they've got a plastic protective coating on both sides. So the earrings won't have a blue tint, but I don't want to take the plastic off the back because I don't want to risk splashing it with any alcohol ink. Just to let people know what I'm up to. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Rubes. Can you ask the
No,
question again?
right. Yeah, no, that's good because I wouldn't have had a clue what you were doing either.
Yeah.
So our first question is, how do I even start turning my hobby into a business? And we've kind of touched on that a little bit with my story and with yours, haven't we?
Yeah.
Um,
I think as well, though, coming back to something you said earlier, someone you know is a phenomenal artist, but they don't believe in themselves because a couple of other people have said they didn't think much of it.
yeah,
And I would say the number one rule to running your own business is you have to believe in yourself and your product.
yes.
Because you're not going to do anything about it, are you?
No, not at all. And don't, the other thing, part of that is, don't listen to people that are not doing it themselves. So if your Auntie Linda is a cake maker and yet you're making high-end fashion clothes, just because Auntie Linda makes cake,
Yeah,
you don't know about a fashion business. So don't listen to people that are
yeah,
not doing the thing or working in that industry that you're in because they won't have a clue. And a
yeah.
lot of people, especially family members, feel uncomfortable if you start changing or start doing anything different because they ask themselves, how is this going to impact me? How will this impact me when
It's
you do?
massive when
Yeah,
you start changing and growing because you also make a demand of them. Because if they want to meet you in the same way they've met you before, they also need to change and grow. And in some people, it's too uncomfortable or they're not ready or etc. So that's a really huge thing, Robes. You've got
it
it right on the thing there.
it is massive, isn't it? So, and
Yeah,
even a partner. So, if you've got a partner,
yeah,
if you say, like, oh, I'm going to start knitting hats or something, and they're like, knitting hats, what's the point of that? Don't let them put you off if that's something that you want to try. They might think it's ridiculous or whatever it is, but if you want to try doing that, do that.
yeah,
And I,
absolutely. TJ doesn't get most of what I do. He thinks I'm crazy. she doesn't she doesn't get most of it. She's often surprised or she doesn't think there's enough of a market or you know, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Tom's always been opposite. He's super supportive of whatever I'm doing. He might not think he might not understand, or he might be like, "Oh God, here she goes again with another crazy idea."
Yeah.
He has. Oh, I've got to give him that. He has always supported me in whatever I've done. He's always been behind me, whether that's a tech thing, whether it's lugging stuff about. You know, he has always been really
Yeah.
supportive in that, which
Oh,
is
she's always supportive and as in she's always um but the ideas about some things, yeah, she just thinks I'm a little bit bonkers
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think boundaries as well, some bonkers, and that's all right. But if you've got a
What is
part
it?
as what love?
Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, I said it, and it's all right if we're bonkers.
Yeah.
But if you've got a partner that's really against it, maybe have a conversation with them. How are they feeling? Because it's obviously bringing stuff up in them. Or you might just have a partner that's an idiot, and then let's not even.
But also, yeah, if supposing you're doing your job, which means you're thinking about leaving your actual paid employment to do it, and then that affects them, then they've got a right to have a conversation about it, haven't they? And that sort of thing. It's tricky, isn't it?
Tricky. It really is. So, how do you start turning a hobby into a business? Well, I'd say get yourself a social media thing so you can start
Yeah,
sharing what you're making.
yeah,
or look for things that happen in the area. So sometimes I mean, I don't really like networking groups, but some people might. There's sometimes networking groups you could go to and talk about what you're doing. Um, but first of all, family and friends are your first customers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So start selling to family and friends first to see if people actually like what you are making and what you're doing.
Well,
Every
again, it's the balance, isn't it? Because like we just said, sometimes family and friends, you know, you don't want to listen to everything they're saying. And at the same time, you know, they could be the first port of call for a sale. But it all comes back to as well, not taking any notice of, not taking any notice. That's not right. We shouldn't just ignore people because it reminds me of those awful shows like Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that, where people go on there and they've been told they can sing and whatever, and they really can't, and it's just hideous shows like that, um, where no one's actually told them no. That's. Do you know what I'm saying? It's tricky, isn't it, to have the balance? You want the balance with all of those things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because if you're actually really crap at making something and it's really ugly and nobody's ever going to buy it, and your mum says, "Look, that's really terrible," you kind of need to go, "Oh, all right then," or improve your skills.
Well, that's the thing as well, isn't it? Improving skills.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because if, like I was saying before, if I look back at them posters I made for my fairs back then, they were
yeah,
bloody awful compared to what I make now.
yeah,
And you don't compare yourself to somebody's middle or end if you're just starting out.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
in the beginning, I wouldn't have me or Kuhla wouldn't have had a clue of how to do any of this that we're making today.
yeah, exactly.
Just playing, practice, all that kind of stuff, in it, learning and
And being willing to make mistakes.
yeah, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's, you know, the good thing about social media is it's free. So it's a great place to try and find your audience, to try and find your little place in the world with your what you make. I still haven't brought up my you know, my nutcrackers I said that help me open those things. Um yeah, to try and find your and look out for, start researching hashtags that are going to get your people to you. So, for instance, you'll go on, supposing you crochet egg cozies, then you go on Instagram, you type in crochet egg cozies, look for someone who's doing something similar, and the sorts of hashtags they're using. And it's not copying, but it's finding your niche people. You're finding the people that are into the sort of things that you want to make.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good one, isn't it? Somebody's asked that actually later on. How can I effectively market my creative products or services on a limited budget social media? Because you don't have to pay for advertising on it if you don't want.
Yeah,
It's
but you pay in time
yeah,
and
yeah,
effort. You do pay.
yeah.
It's not free.
Oh,
I was thinking that. I was like, I'm going to come off again because it's too. The cost for social media is too much. I don't have the currency to swap for the return. I just don't. So I'm probably going to be coming off. But it is, if you're starting, it's a brilliant place to start.
yeah, it definitely is. So the next question is: do I need to tell the government that I'm selling stuff? So it's changed, hasn't it? But is it under £1,000?
Yeah.
If you're under £1,000 for the year, you don't have to, do you? But after that, you have to declare it, I think.
I would still, going into it myself now, I would still declare myself as a business on the government website. Like in the UK, I don't know what it's like everywhere else. But I would absolutely still declare my business, even if I had no money to declare, which I know is a pain because you've got to do all your expenses and stuff then. But even if I've made less than £1,000, but you should be doing your accounts monthly anyway, and you'll know at the end of the year what you have or haven't sold or not, what money you've made and stuff. And again, that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? You need to do your research around what's allowable expenses and those sorts of things. And there's loads of free help out there for that. You just got to put the time in, do the legwork to find out. Um, because I think it just looks better when you're registered on the government website, and it helps you to feel like you're a proper business then. And then, you know, you because one of the big issues, and this is a kind of, I don't know how other people negotiate it because I'm still learning 35 years in, but because you work at home for yourself, some people think you don't work, and then they 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 ignore your needs for hours or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I can't. How else do I put that, Rubes?
Well, yeah, if you don't go out physically out of your house and go and work in a different space, I think because you're in your home, there's all the other stuff like keeping the house tidy, taking the dog for a walk, cooking dinners, or your mum just popping round and going, "Oh, can you do this with me?" You know, and stuff like that. People don't respect the boundaries of.
Because they wouldn't dream of walking into your work office if you worked. People wouldn't dream of just being able to, or the fact that you can just fit in meetings
Yeah,
with people or whatever. And of course, that is the luxury of working for yourself. In that, yes, you can meet your friend on Tuesday at 12 o'clock for a cuppa. Do you know, it's a catch-22 in that, you know, we want it one way but don't want it the other way. But it is, or like, thank goodness you were home because the parcel's been delivered.
exactly.
Who
Yeah,
would do that otherwise? You know, those sorts of things sometimes are really frustrating. And so I would say one of the things you need to establish or think about as you're developing your business plan, which you do need of some sort, is about boundaries and timekeeping or time setting. Now, if you're anything like me, I would absolutely die if someone said to me, right, you have to do this from 9 till such and such, and then do this from, and this is one of the reasons our plans go out the window so much, don't they, Rubes?
yeah.
Because we can't stick to things. But to some degree, you do need to have some sort of routine or work life schedule,
I think it's
for your own sanity, and so that other people know what the law, you know, what the rules are regarding your availability.
I think it's for me. I think it's having it's not a plan because when you said you need a business plan, inside I died a little. I was like, oh. But I think you need a that works for some people. But I think the important thing is to have the boundaries around it. So, for example, today before we recorded, I didn't go upstairs and say to Chris, who's my son, "Have you got anything coming today? Have you got any deliveries coming today?" Which I normally do. And then I'm
Right.
aware, and I'd have put a note on the door to the postman saying, "Please put in the porch." And then he wouldn't have rang the bell.
Yeah.
So I didn't put boundaries around our recording today because I totally forgot about it. But if I had have, it'd have been, we wouldn't have had that palaver before, would we?
Well, but and that was because we didn't know if we were going to be doing it because I've been so poorly.
Yeah,
Probably, isn't it? We didn't know till really the last minute whether we were going to be recording today. But I just meant a business plan, like you know, more than we do it. You really do need to have um, some understanding around your incoming, your outgoing, your quarters, your what you hope to achieve, how you think that might work. Only like if you want to survive as a business in this capitalist world.
yeah,
Once the world disintegrates and we're not capitalists anymore, me and you are going to be thriving, mate. It's going to be great.
yeah,
But up until that point, the rules are you play the capitalist rules or you don't survive as a business.
yeah,
Because even people that do really well, you know, like they've gone mad on TikTok or something like that. I've seen quite a few businesses. I mean, I'm not really on it anymore, so I don't know so much, but now, but where it's gone really well. They've blown up, but it's not sustainable. Their mental health has struggled too much, or something happens, you know, with their production, or you know, because they're not actually made or equipped for that. Just because they've had a blow up TikTok
yeah,
at some point.
yeah. Because that's the other thing, isn't it? You know, before I used to look at the blow up TikToks and think, "Oh, I wish that had happened to me." But then I think I'm glad it hasn't because if if I'd have, years ago, if somebody had said to me, right, you're going to get 20 orders in one day, I'd have panicked like mad. Oh
Would
my,
you?
I can't cope with that. How am I going to do 20 orders? I don't even know that. Do you know what I mean? I remember panicking the first time I got an international order, thinking, how do you even do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue how you did them things, but you just learn as you grow, don't you?
yeah, and um, there's all the things like Etsy in there. Every Etsy team will have their own group on Facebook or chat in the forums, whatever. There's teams and teams of other makers and helpers that are so willing to help, aren't they, Robes? To ask all those questions. And you know, I think what's lovely about the makers community, same as when I used to do craft shows, there was very rarely a bad apple in any of those people. Making people tend to be generally good eggs, don't they? And so they're often willing to help and etc. I'm just going to bring that one's rubbish. These ones are rubbish, but the others are nice.
Your Femo's time's up now.
Oh, is it? Oh, bummer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's true. So going back to the government thing, if you go on HMRC self assessment, it tells you all there what you need to do, what you know when to fill stuff in and all that kind of stuff. So if you need proper clarification, go on that website. But yeah, like Kuhla said, ooh, look at them.
Can you see that? These ones haven't come out so good. I'm going to have to work in them a bit, but can you see some of the colours on those ones?
Yeah, they're
Quite
lovely.
nice, aren't they? And then when they've dried a bit, I'll pop some gold on or something. Well, I was hoping to do some gold in them,
Yeah,
but
they're lovely. Yeah,
I'll put
gold
them to the side. I'll be back in a minute.
quite love. Um, yeah, but like Kuhla said, that's just for the UK. So your tax laws will be completely different in, if you're in America or another country. So do the research for that. My eyes are big then, didn't they? Do the research and look into that. What you need to do for your own purposes. Now I've got an app called Lucky Bitch. It's by Denise Duffield Thomas. I think you can only get it on iPhone. And every time I earn some money, or every time I not even earn some money, every time I get some money, I put it in my app. So every month it's really easy. You can see, what you've taken in that month. But then you need to take your expenses off. So things like your packaging, your materials, all that kind of stuff as well. So, and that's a big thing. Now, I haven't had an accountant for all these years. I've done my accounts all myself and I declare on HMRC every year myself as well. But I think when I can, I will get an accountant. So it's up to you. You don't have to have one in the beginning, or you can get one. Oh, look at
What's
them
that? I
accountant.
burnt them.
Oh, yeah.
They're burnt. Looks like my mice were.
They're like little biscuits.
My biscuits. They're all burnt. I don't know why. I did the number it said, but maybe because they're really thin. Maybe I could have done it lower. And these ones are burnt, but that's okay. When they're clawed, I'll give them a little sand and then start working on them. What were you saying, Rubes?
I was just saying about that government question, saying that people are best going on the government website and checking it out for themselves. And I was on about my Lucky Bitch app to put your expenses in, and saying about
Yeah.
accounts. Um,
I think the government website has got a lot better over the last few years. It's a lot more user friendly. Do you think?
yeah, there's lots on it, isn't there? Um,
Yeah.
so it is good. So go on there. So the next question is it hard to figure out how much I should charge for my stuff? Pricing. Da, da, da. Go on, what do you think, Kuhla? And then I'll give my humble opinion.
Well, I need to preface all of everything I'm saying today with the fact that even though I've had a business for 35 years and it's kept me off the streets, and it's not successful. It's not a successful business. So whatever I say today, take it with a pinch of salt because it isn't. I still I don't have enough money. The end. Because I can't do all of the things that you need to do to actually run a business, and part of that is because I refuse to play the manipulation game that some social media stuff, and the advertising that, I refuse to play that game. It's because I refuse the capitalist game. That's why. That's the whole reason why, isn't it, Robes? At the end of the day. So when it comes to charging for your product, um, obviously there's all sorts of methodologies about how you can do that. So it's your time, whatever hourly rate you want to give yourself. I wouldn't, as a maker, I wouldn't give myself less than £15 an hour if I was working out an hourly rate. Whether you're qualified or not, if you can make something, you're qualified at the end. And something that somebody else wants, brilliant. Plus, so the time it takes, plus the materials, and obviously, if you're making in bulk, you can get cheaper materials. And then, so supposing I made this cotton pad, it cost me 5p in materials. It cost me an hour's worth of knitting to make it. So that's 5p plus £15. So then I have to do 2.5 times that to put it out to market. So that would be £30, 10p. That's a pretty expensive cotton pad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's kind of the logical way to do it, isn't it, Ruby? But then you have to market yourself. You have to put yourself in the market in a place where you have to take notice of how other things that are very similar are selling, because there's absolutely no point putting yourself right up here. But what I find most is that when people are just starting, they price themselves too low.
Oh yeah.
Partly because they're desperate to make a sale, and they're like, if I undercut everybody else, I'll make some money. Partly because they don't believe in themselves or their product. So kind of combination between those things, and partly because, and this is what really gets the goat of professional makers, oh, it's just a little hobby. Because they have a full-time job. So they can afford to knit that gorgeous blanket and sell it at almost cost, because it doesn't matter to them. But it really matters to the person who it is their living. And then they have to sell it at cost plus their labour. It's tricky, Rubes, isn't it? What would you say?
So, oh, sorry. So yeah, I think definitely. So, like a practical level, how much are your materials costing? How much time is this taking you to make? And then work it out from that onwards. But for some things like a patchwork quilt that could take you hundreds of hours, then that's a trickier thing to price, because you wouldn't be able to put in all your hours for how much that is. So I think pricing is a really personal thing, but you've got to make sure that everything's covered and you're getting a profit. And I think this is what I didn't do for a long time. I was just making up numbers and not actually covering the cost of everything. And the same with postage as well. I was just going, oh well, I stamped 95p, so my postage is 95p, but I
Yeah.
haven't put on my envelope, the tissue paper, the washi tape, all the other parts of the packaging. So
And the time it takes to pack it.
yeah, and
This is
go,
why they charge for post and packaging. And it's not just actual packaging, it's the time it takes you to
yeah,
pick it and pack it.
yeah, definitely. So there's lots in it. If you're an artist, there's a great website called AAN, so it's A-N Artist Network, and they've got a pricing guide on there, which is really good.
Yeah.
So you can see of how much you can charge. If you're doing some kind of art thing, or if you've been asked to do a mural somewhere or something. So that's a good price guide. And there are all formulas, aren't there, Koo, of like, I don't know, I think you said it before, 2 times whatever it is. So there are different.
And it depends if you want to grow. If you want your business to grow, you've got to be able to sell wholesale. You've got to be able to offer wholesale. You've got to be able to up your production. There's a fine line when it comes to the sort of products you're selling as to whether you can up your production level, if you can, because like Ruby just said, you can get your money back for a quilt, but it goes to a collector who
Yeah,
pays £1,000 for it.
yeah,
It's not a business model that most people would be able to work from. You need to, which is why, like for instance, for me, the greetings cards, and I basically stopped doing them because of my health. I couldn't keep up with the packing, the the picking and packing type part of it. They were making money. It wasn't a problem with that, etc. But it was just, and because of my cognitive thing, I was making lots of mistakes. So it was costing me money to resend stuff and remake stuff, reprint stuff, whatever. But that was a good model, as in I could mass produce something without actually doing it myself. Most of it was done by a printer, my printer in my office, or an outside printer. The same as, like, if you get your zines printed, you lose some profit money wise, don't you? But you gain time in the amount of time it takes you to print them and then sew them. I mean, you still sew them, don't you? But
not if I outsource print them. I don't. They come fastened already.
Oh, they come fastened. Yeah. That's good. But like for us, the amount of times we have to put something in the printer and it prints up the other way that we thought it was going to print.
But it gets stuck.
Well, it's like me burning those. I followed the instructions. You saw I did robes.
Yeah.
And it still went wrong. That's just kind of normal for me.
And me.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But yeah, if you can find a product that, and of course, things go in fashions all the time. And when it comes to, so I'm jumping about a bit here. I was just thinking about social media. When it comes to even what you're going to post and how you're going to post, all of those things are really individual. And there's a million gazillion gurus out there, business coaches, that will tell you how often you need to post. You should post reels here and blah, 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 blah. And if anybody ever in the whole wide world offers you something free, it's not free. It's a course, it's a training, whatever. It's not free. It could be marvelous, but it's not free, because you're giving your time, your email, for them to hopefully then get you onto one of their paid courses or their paid whatevers, right? That's just the way it goes. And I was thinking about that from the other side, Ruby, about, as someone who's considering giving courses, although, my mental health, I won't be able to do that at the end, but what we have to do now, what we have to give away for free to compete. You have to give away a 5-day course, because that's what people do nowadays. Get my free book, get my free this, get my free that, whatever. What you have to give away in order to get your customers, because the competition is so fierce. And don't forget, look, people like me and Rube, single people, we're competing for your hard-earned cash with Cath Kidston, a whole conglomerate, a whole empire, Emma Bridgewater, or Tesco even. It's all, we're competing, and we're wondering why we can't keep up with social media, or it's such a tricky little game.
It really is. I remember years ago, I was making it was for the craft fairs, and it was making signs, for your house, to hang up in your house.
Yeah.
And then I went into Primark, and they were selling signs to hang up in your house for like £1.
A pound. I know. We did the same, Rubes.
It's ridiculous. You just can't compete against that kind of thing. And I know there's a thing for everybody as well, where people with less money can go to Primark and buy that stuff, and people with more money could buy handmade thing, But
yeah,
yeah, pricing is a tricky one, isn't it? And there are formulas, but I think at the end of the day, it's quite an individual thing.
It's what?
Quite an individual thing, isn't it?
Pricing. Yeah.
Each person. So we've covered that next one. So the next question is, can I keep making stuff at home, or do I need to rent a space? Well, as you can see, Koo and I are both at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's up to you, basically. If I was given the opportunity of a space out of the home to do my big paintings, I would snap it up, because
me too.
It's really difficult to try and fit everything into your home.
Partly for some of the reasons we already spoke about, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's where I'm up to at the minute, Koo, with that. My background, I've I've done that
That's
part now.
beautiful. What have you worked into it with?
So I've used watercolor, ink tens, Posca pens, sorry, ink stampers, and acrylic, and a gold pen. So
Lovely.
I'll just put that to dry now. While that's drying, I'll do a different one. Yeah, so it's up to you. You can work from home. When I started, I was sat in an armchair. That's where I started working from, my armchair. And then I soon realised that I needed more and more space. And I used to
So many people work on their kitchen tables, don't they? And then the nightmare of having to put it all away again to have a normal life, and then you get it all out again that evening.
Yeah, there's a lot in it. That so we're really lucky, aren't we, that we've got a dedicated room each to work in.
Yeah,
Like,
and yeah. So when the kids were little, I was really lucky in that I had, our houses. There was always a utility room, so even if it was a really long, skinny one, and I was a shed queen. I love a shed. So I would always try and get a shed if I could from somewhere, because we used to use like when we were making the signs and things, we would have power tools and that, so we'd need like a dirty space, if you
yeah,
like a shed. I'm having an issue with this ink because it's just blending down into one. It's not keeping the definition between the colours. It's just getting mixed up, which is really frustrating for me. And the trouble with alcohol inks is once it's on your hands, it's on your hands, the end,
yeah,
which is annoying.
isn't it?
But yeah, you can work wherever you want to work. But I do miss when I was at uni, although, not a great peoply type person, as in I am a people person. What I mean is I do like a lot of silent time, and to create my best work, I like to be just by myself. I would love to be in like an artist cooperative where you have your own locked room, but there's other artists down the hallway
Yeah,
that you can meet in the break room, have a cup of tea, chat about what work you're doing, that kind of thing.
yeah, me
I
too.
think I would like that very much.
I don't want a studio space where I have to share it with other people. I'd hate that.
No, not the actual room, but
No.
I'd like an artist cooperative building, so you all had your own rooms.
When I went to New York and I worked with the artist over there, Garrett, they had it was in Red Hook, so it was by the docks. They had an amazing building, and that's what theirs was like. They all had their own lockable studio, and then in
Yeah,
the middle, it was like this big. Um, there was a huge table where they might all meet up for having the lunch break or a brew.
yes,
Another area with like sofas, and they'd have put little music events on, music and art events and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my god, I really want this
yeah.
so much. Um, so yeah, it's just up to them. Right, I'm aware of the time. Cool, time's ticking on. So let's get some more of these done. See if we can get them done quicker.
All right, babe.
Let's have a look. So, how to believe and how to keep going. That is a tricky one. So I feel to how to keep going and how to believe, you've got to be doing something that you really love doing,
Yeah,
because it's really tough. Being self employed is not an easy option. It is tough. And when it gets tough, if you're doing something that you don't really love doing, or that you've got such a passion for, like you're working for a cause or a passion, then you're just going to give up. So I think you've got to really enjoy what you do, because at times it's really difficult. And even the good bits sometimes, for example, if you've got a lot of orders, that's amazing. But then when you've got to sit there for 2 days packing them all, that's quite tiresome.
I'm making them. Yeah,
Yeah, and can be a bit boring as well if you're on your own at home.
yeah,
Um, so it's got to be something that you enjoy. What do you think, love, about that question?
yeah. I think it's really important to get clear on what it is what's driving your passion, and so that you can keep coming back to it. And you have to keep nurturing that passion too. So you find your community. You find, sometimes we're really lucky because we've got each other. But and obviously anybody watching has got us too, because we're available, in the chats and everything, aren't we? And on social media. But um, sometimes because the natural evolution of anything is that hopefully you won't be making the same thing. I mean, I bet you somewhere out there, Ruby, there is someone still knitting those dolly crocheted toilet roll covers. Do you remember them? From the 70s or whatever. But I remember even as late as the 90s, people were still selling them at craft shows. So, you know, there is some people that are still making the same thing they've made for 20 years, and there is still a market for whatever they're making. But as a human, if you're still evolving, your work will also evolve. And it's being aware of that and having recognizing how important it is to keep checking in to your muse and to what you find important or you find beautiful, and to keep experimenting and finding new things. Because essentially, this is what I discovered on my art course, and I think from knowing you for a couple of years as well, a few years, it's true for you too, is that we're basically singing the same song. There's just, we could probably sum up our whole belief about life, or our whole, what really we hold really important, in a couple of sentences. And the products that we make are physical manifestations of those ideas or beliefs about life. So even though your outside manufacturing product might look a little bit different, like it might go from paintings to zines to amulets to shrines to earrings, whatever, essentially the message behind all of that is the same. So it's again coming back to, sorry, I don't mean to get all spiritually woo-woo, but everything in my life comes back to that, for me anyway, is that you need to listen to your heart and let it speak. And that's what your work is. So that's how you kind of keep going, is keep checking in, keep nourishing that part of you that is creative, allowing it to have a voice, creative daily practice if you can, of some sort. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's walking in nature or gardening or actually physically making stuff, writing lists in your sketchbook or just journaling, whatever. But that creative daily practice to keep that kind of that part of you nourished and well fed is super important. And then if you're really super blessed, you'll also have a community and a friend like I have, where you can share that love of creativity. And then it never dies out, does it? I mean, we have actually the opposite problem, where we can't stop thinking of ideas. And we go, oh my goodness, how am I gonna how am I not gonna make that thing? And oh, am I going off a tangent again, aren't we? We always do that.
How can I fit it all in?
How can I fit it all in? Exactly.
My other, but that was really good actually. Really, yeah, everything that you said there, I completely echo and agree with. And my other thing is, I always come back to three things. So I always say to people, what three things did you really love doing when you was a child? Like if you had the
Yeah.
opportunity to, what did you do as a child? Because I think there's something really profound in that. As children, we
Yeah.
do what we love. And my thing as a child was being in nature, drawing up, making art, or creating something, whatever that, however that
Yeah.
came about. Um, and and that's what I'm doing now. So I think the foundation of your things from being a child still
Yeah.
relevant when you're older. So if I'd picked something, I don't know, really obscure, I can't think of anything. But like I'll become a brain surgeon. Do you know what I mean? Like that I wouldn't be able to be a brain surgeon. It's
It's not
just not
interesting enough to
part of
you.
me. No, it's just not me, is it? So I
Yeah.
think that's important. Um so the last question is, what are some common challenges I might face as a small creative business owner, and how can I overcome them? Well, we've just kind of touched on some of them, haven't we?
Yeah.
Um, I think the other thing it's worth to note is the whole copying thing. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's a brilliant book. And
Yeah.
in her book, she said that all ideas are floating up in the ether, and at some point they come down into us. Now it's up to us whether we run with them ideas or we don't. We just release that and we think, oh, in a few months I'll do that thing. And then what you'll find is you'll see somebody else doing that thing that you thought about doing. Now, that's
Yeah.
not because they've stolen your idea. That idea is not yours. It's up there floating about.
I've got two things to talk about on this,
Go on.
and they're both a bit woo woo. and or not, which I find fascinating. So some of the artwork that I really, really love is the abstract expressionists. And I love some of the work from like the 1920s to the 1940s. That work to me is my bag, it's really exciting for me. Some of the stuff that I saw in the Tate, I'm going to say, I don't even know which one it was, one of the galleries, was this work by a Japanese artist, can't remember his name, forgive me, and it was just kind of grey paper with all holes in it. Really loved it, absolutely my thing. Very exciting to me. And it was the bump that was with it. So at the same time, without social media, without all of the things that we have now, in 2 or 3 other parts of the world, people were creating the same work. So for whatever reason, this work was being, and at the time, I mean, it doesn't sound that exciting now, but at the time, that was like, it had only been like 30 years since you couldn't just buy a work that was a traditional landscape or a painting of the monarch. Do you know what I mean? Work was, this work was brand new. It was like mind-blowingly what the noggin, how can you call that art type thing? And the fact that it was being birthed in these different parts of the world at the same time, that didn't have any communication with each other, completely different cultures. It's just mind blowing, which kind of puts in place for me the Elizabeth Gilbert idea that, but as a person who's always kind of contemplating spirit and what the purpose of life is and manifestation and the ether and all of those sorts of things. So it's going to get a little bit deeper. I was going the other day, I was thinking, okay, so how did that happen? Oh, no, because there's something else. This was the second thing. Got really excited because I discovered these things called bastion forts, star bastion forts. Have you heard of the movie?
Yeah, I think I am.
So they're forts, as in military forts, but they're star shaped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's thousands of them all over the world. Now, there's all sorts of conspiracy theories about them, etc. You look on Wikipedia and it's hilarious, some of the stuff that people say and don't say, or whatever. And sometimes the protests against the conspiracy make me laugh as much as the conspiracies. But anyway, I don't really know why they came about, for the reasons they came about, etc. But I got really excited about them and I thought they were really magical. And I didn't understand how, across the whole globe, there are thousands of these things being developed by thousands of armies, civilizations all over the globe. For me, that was just phenomenal because for me, they look really cosmic. And I just thought, how wonderful. And then they said about their really, as a military thing, they make sense at the time because it was to do with cannons and things, apparently. It just made sense. It's better protection. But I was like, maybe they're not, maybe they're protecting what's inside, like a civilization inside, rather than a fighty thing, an outward and attacking, whatever. And then I thought, how could all these people all over the globe have the same idea to create these same things when there's no, like I say, I mean, yes, people did travel, but not, I can't imagine, one person going, I've had an idea for a star fort, and then them traveling the whole world and telling all the different civilizations about it, whatever. Because they came about at similar times. So I was thinking, as spirits, as spiritual beings, to civilization, whatever civilizations built the pyramids, etc. Did we go, or Atlantis, or those sorts of things? Did they all come down from the same place with the same idea about the star forts? Plonk onto the earth, started making them, or were we already here and then we were like those ideas from Elizabeth Gilbert, then the ideas came in to all the different beings, the beings that are kind of open and susceptible to that sort of thing. I love all of that. It's very exciting to me. I didn't find out too much more about it. The nearest star fort to me is only about an hour and a half away, so I might end up having to go on a bit of a mooch and have a feel into the vibration of the land there, because that would be interesting to me.
That would be.
But it is heartbreaking when you get things like Temu, Shein, Alibaba, whatever, all copying, popular things, like enamel pins or posters or t-shirt designs or whatever. That can be really heartbreaking when you're a small business maker. And the only thing you can say is, cease and desist, and just keep making new things, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's all there is to say about that, really, isn't there, Robes?
Yeah, definitely. It does keep happening. And the thing is, if you are an original creating. What I mean by that is if you are always full of ideas and you don't start off your business just copying other people, then you're
Yeah,
always going to come up with new stuff, no matter how
yeah.
many times people try and copy it. And I'd say that about being copied is a horrible feeling. Some people say, oh, it's flattering. No, it isn't flattering. When you
No.
put the work and the effort into making something, it is not flattering to have somebody
And
that,
oftentimes the copy is a shell of what you how
oh,
you your quality. That's what's one of the heartbreaking things, isn't it?
yeah. And there's none of the um, research or the development gone into that person that's
Because the soul's missing in it, isn't it? I don't know if you can see.
yeah, it can.
They've not come out like I might hope.
Can you wait until they dry and then put gold on
This
top?
is the trouble. It's because I've been a bit impatient trying to do it so that I've got something finished because I'm aware that every week I'm making something and I'm never actually finishing it, for the chat or whatever.
Um, yeah, so yeah, there's none of that soul behind it, is there, when somebody just blatantly copies whatever you're doing?
Yeah,
And you can cease and desist them. And the other thing is, you can block them on social media. If you know somebody keeps copying your stuff, just block them so they can't see you. That's what
yeah,
I say
yeah.
to that as well.
I do think that if you have a small business, if your small business model, your business plan, whatever, isn't scalable, then you just need to be content with it's never going to really make you money.
Mm,
Because unless you're willing to have staff and to have your business scalable, and that means basically production, like getting things made in China, or if it's printed products, you can probably get them made here reasonable. But yeah, and because or you can sell like online courses, that kind of thing. But you really have to be willing to play the game and go for it big time.
yeah.
You know,
I think you've got to be aware of your limitations as well. Before we came on this call, we had a little chat, didn't we? And both of us are not in a, I earn money from my business. Kuhla earns money from my business, but it's not. We're not going. Oh, we can have a holiday this month without using a credit card. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's not like we're making loads of money, but we have learned loads of stuff along the way, which is why we can say all this stuff, because basically we've learned from our mistakes, but you've also got to know your limitations. So we know all the business stuff, we know it all, but we don't put it all in place because we're either tired or poorly
or
or
who we are. We don't want to we don't want staff. We don't want other people to work with us or for us. If we'd have gone, right, now's the time, we need staff, or I needed to sell wholesale. If I'd have gone wholesale with my cards, it would have been a whole different thing. Yeah, I would have then become an admin lady, and I didn't want to be. I wanted to be a card designer.
yeah,
So that wasn't something I was willing to do. But that then would have made, potentially, obviously, but a profitable business. But I didn't want to do that. And it's deciding that, isn't it? It's a bit like you with going back to the beginning with you with your craft fairs, Rubes.
yeah.
You didn't want to be. I mean, that was an actual good business model. You could make money from that.
Oh yeah,
But that would have made you an organizer, and basically these days you'd just be on the computer 9 hours a day,
yeah, exactly, yeah. And
not a maker.
no,
Our
no,
dream is that someone just comes along, buys all our stuff, gives us a wad of cash, and then buggers off, and we can carry on making that. I
that's it.
mean, it sounds really bleak, but it would be different if you're not neurodiverse, for sure. Um, that whole thing would be different. And if you can like learn, if it's in your aptitude, is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah,
To learn business stuff, because that woman from Dragon's Den, uh, who made those scoreboards, the crafting scoreboards.
I don't
What's
know.
her name? Sarah. Oh, anyway, she's northern, but she's done really well because she was a businesswoman first, who then found a gap in the craft market. She
Yeah,
wasn't a maker. She didn't come from that place. Makers don't don't really, you know, don't make a load of money.
yeah,
And it's going to change because hopefully values are changing. People are getting more and more, they're valuing more and more. It's like the care professions. What you get paid to be in. Oh, show me again, Ruby. I missed it.
I was just turning it round to draw on it.
Oh, I thought you were lifting it up to show
Ah,
us. Um, you get paid more for doing something where you're pushing money around than you do when you're pushing people around in wheelchairs and things. And it really should be the other way around because the care professions are so important, or at least it should be equal. The caring professions are so important. You know,
yeah, they really are.
anyway,
I
don't take
think
me down that whole road.
I think though that you can know business, like we know business. We know what we need to do. We know business, but we don't implement what we know. And that's where the thing is, another person could know the business but not have the same limitations, and they could thrive on their
It's the
business
disability,
and make it massive.
that as well. But like the thing of how you have to use certain phrases to hook people into your video in order for them to listen to the whole video,
Yeah,
and all of those things. And there's certain, and then partly I go, well, I want to show them my stuff, blah blah. And why should they buy that stuff over not over my stuff, etc. But it just feels like if you're thinking about what words do I need to use to get people to engage, that's manipulation.
mm,
At the end of the day, it's really hard not to then, to be okay with that. Um,
yeah, because there's so
and
many things in there where they go, oh, in the first 30 seconds you have to say a hook to get people hooked onto
yeah,
it and the rest of it. And I'm just like, I can't even be bothered.
what we were offering was, yes, we're making some lovely art things, etc., but we're actually offering a service of companionship and company and
And also little nuggets of wisdom, like we're
yeah,
both very different in different ways, and we're both very similar in other ways, but we've both got different lived experience, and we do have lots of wisdom to share, don't we? How
yeah,
many times do we
absolutely.
chat to each other and then go, oh, that's an epiphany, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
lovely, isn't it?
yeah,
um,
yeah. We do have a lot to share for
yeah.
sure.
So to wrap up, I think that I would say this is my advice: do some research if you want to start your business on different stuff. um, do what Kuhla said, not like me, and do get some kind of plan together and follow the plan. Get a plan.
Again, there's loads of free resources for that. Not so much now that we're out of the EU, because there was lots of funding for small businesses for the EU at the time, but
Yeah, that's different, isn't it? Check your legalities, but don't go over the top either.
don't
Like,
let it trip you up. Don't let it block you from creating.
no, don't, because a lot of it's ridiculous anyway, and
What
not very.
about all the groups you join on Facebook, actually? Do you want to just mention that?
Oh yeah, so if you join
Did you
groups.
find that helpful?
Yeah, if you join groups on Facebook, well, so there's two sides to this. If there's groups on Facebook that are helpful, and you can ask things in and you can share your stuff in, and it's really good and supportive. But then there's other groups that are not very much. So a lot of the Etsy groups on Facebook that I've joined, they just whinge and moan. Don't get into that whinging and moaning. Like on
That's
an
advice for life. That's advice for life. Just don't.
yeah,
You
on an
need to focus on what you want more of.
yeah, not what you don't want. Yeah, on an energetic level, that's bad. you know so if you join a group on Facebook and you're in it and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right, come out of it. You don't have to be in there.
Yeah.
Ask people that are doing the thing that you're doing, how do you do that, how did you get there, what, a lot of people are willing to answer stuff, aren't they?
Most people are.
Yeah, they're not. So ask the people that know what you want to do, if they're doing it. Don't ask Uncle Ted that makes keys or something when you want to be a
But
vet.
as well, you can ask us in this chat, but also like on social media, and then we'll do it as a part of this video thing. Because obviously we haven't got all the hours of all the days to answer individual questions all the time for everybody. But um, we've had a lot of experience with a lot of different crafts over the years, over the 30 odd years or whatever. So, there's a good chance we'll have something to be able to offer you
Yeah,
as a, you know,
Or we
some
can
advice.
signpost, can't we, to other things?
Exactly. We'll know people that can help, or businesses or companies or yeah, bodies, that can maybe support or whatever.
Yeah. So
But
that's good advice, that Koo.
yeah, just do you know what? You just got to do what you want to do. You just got to live it. And if you can bring more beauty in the world, whether that's through growing a lovely plant or a lovely human or just being sweet or whether that is actually making a product that you can then sell to somebody, then fantastic. Just do it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing in it. Don't get caught up in all the hows and the whys and what's going to happen. Oh, I remember in the beginning going, oh, what'll happen if I get 100 orders in one day? What, I
Yeah.
won't be able to do it. So I
Yeah.
didn't put myself out there. But that's never happened. Do you know?
That won't happen probably for a
No.
long time.
And if it
But it
did,
will happen,
you
but it doesn't happen for a long time.
yeah. But if it did, you could get people to help you pack the orders. There's always
Mm.
a solution, isn't there? But you don't have to think about that stuff now.
Blocks.
No,
Mm.
not at all. So that's been really good. I hope it's been useful for everybody watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we've missed things, like Koo said, ask in the comments. We can answer in there, and we can do other videos, can't we, where we answer things.
Absolutely. And anything about anything. It doesn't have to be about business or work. We'll answer questions about anything.
Oh, we love a question. We do love a question.
Right. Yeah.
So we have been going nearly 2 hours.
Oh gosh.
Oh, no, not nearly two. Here we go. 12:25 we started, and it's 14:09. Whatever
Mm.
that is.
About the same as the last two.
But Matri from America said, didn't she, last, can we do a 3-hour one?
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're not quite there, but we're nearly there. Oh, so thanks everybody for watching again, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, take care. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to Ruby's channel. And yeah, check us out on social media because we'd love to connect with you there too.
There we
Ciao.
go. Bye.